Hello, friends, and welcome back to Universal Law Snippets. Can you believe that we are already in December? It's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. But here we are. Time is moving through us or with us. Who knows? It's all a matter of opinion. But today, in this month, we are going to focus on the law of rhythm, which I've had popping up in my life in various forms, even just like 20 minutes ago when I was talking to someone. So let's get down to it. All right. I love the law of rhythm because it feels very natural as we are moving through this Sagittarius energy into Capricorn and through 2025 into 2026. Okay. So what is the law of rhythm? The law of rhythm simply states that everything has a rhythm, right? Everything has this cycle that we move through. We have it all around us and we have it within us as well. So I'm sure that you are well aware that we are living in a cyclic timeline, reality, whatever you want to say. We have the rhythm of the seasons, right? Spring, summer, fall, winter. We have the rhythm of the moon as it goes through all of its phases. We have the rhythm of day and night, the rhythm of school time. We even have the rhythm of television seasons, right? Well, we used to. It's not really so much anymore, but that could be showing my Gen X ways where we would have seasons on television. But all of this to say is that everything moves in a cycle, just like we do, right? And as humans, because we are so individual and special and unique, I guess, we all have our own unique rhythms. And those change throughout our lives as well, right? I'm sure that perhaps you recall how you slept a lot during your teenage years because your body was growing, or maybe you remember those sleepless nights if you had a child and you were staying up with them until they learned to sleep on their own and you moved into this rhythm of a little bit more normal sleep for you. And it's very interesting how, as humans, we are very rhythmic beings. We have our circadian rhythms. We have rhythms that we adopt, which we call habits throughout the day. We're very naturally drawn to these cycles in our lives, except kind of when we get caught up in the cycles of let's call it the collective energy, I guess. I'm sure when I explain it, you'll probably understand, right? I know that as of lately, well, actually probably maybe the last 10 to 15 years, maybe longer than that. Maybe I just have not fully been in tune of it, but I always feel this pressure, right? There is this consistent pressure to get things done and kind of be productive and move forward and kind of just push, push, push. I was talking about this the other day with a friend where we were talking about how when you are in this phase of motherhood, it's very common for moms and parents in general to kind of put their own needs, whether physical, emotional, or mental, on the back burner because you are in this season of raising children and it can be very intense, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes on because you are in this season where you are raising children and moving them out into the world. You're making sure that they are learning, that they are, staying clean, that they are learning what it means to, be an adult, be a teenager emotionally. It's a big thing, but how often do we find that, when you're a parent, you're putting your own needs aside so that you can kind of cater to these kids. And it's just a season of your life, which is why it feels like there is just so much pressure of it, right? And there's other things like that too, right? We have I know I have friends who are in finance, and so this is their season of year end. And so there's a lot of pressure to like get things done and complete things and everything. And we are a society that we really glorify the productive ways, the getting things done, the hustle mentality. We honor that a lot, and it's kind of hard to break out of that sometimes. But as humans, it is very, very necessary for us to have that spring, have that summer, have that season of harvest where we're pulling everything in. And then we have to have that season of rest, because if we don't rest, then we kind of burn out or we break. And I know that personally, I have had this several times in my life, most recently in 2022, where I was in this season of go, 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 right? We all probably felt that right after the pandemic. We were all kind of like halted, and it was kind of a forced season of rest upon us, which was really nice in some ways, but also really horrific because of what was going on. And so even though it was this like where everybody pulled back and they kind of went and did their own things and were isolated, sometimes that felt really nice. But because there was so much pressure outside of us and the unknown and what is happening and are people going to be safe and everything, it wasn't really a true rest period. So it was kind of like a pseudo rest for us, and it didn't really like rejuvenate us fully, at least a lot of us, because the mental and emotional tolls were still there. Okay. And so I know that for me personally, I still had a lot of anxiety, as one does during a pandemic, right? My first one, my only one, it was really intense. And so I had all of those emotions and stress just building up and building up and building up. And then I started a new job, and it was a lot of like learning new things and being around new people and energy. And then I ended up moving into another state, and like eventually my body just broke. It just was like, we're done with this anymore. If you're not going to take a break, then we're going to make you take a break. And that to me is the essence of the law of rhythm, is that when you don't honor your rhythms, then you may be forced to honor your rhythms. And so I think that bringing this law into focus and kind of bringing it back into your awareness during this time, when this is another one of those big push seasons, right? We always want to have like a really nice holiday. Everything feels very exciting. That Sagittarius energy full of fire and excitement and being around people and socializing and everything. It's super, super great. But it's also very important to, make sure that you are taking that time to honor your own rhythms and not push yourself so hard. And, go with, if you're in the northern hemisphere, flow with the sun. The sun is setting early until the solstice. And so everything feels a little bit like heavier as our bodies are starting to like say, let's sleep a little bit more. Let's relax a little bit more. Honor those feelings, right? I know I was just talking with someone, and they asked me, they're like, are you working on your writing? Are you doing some more? And I was like, I pushed so hard and I was so motivated over the summer and like right at the beginning of the fall. And then I published my book, and I have like probably 2 more projects, a couple of smaller projects too on the back burner. And I just don't have it in me right now. And that's okay. We don't have to be productive all the time. We have to really be aware and conscious of what our energy is doing. And so when we have these things that we want to do, I had these big goals towards the end of the year. I really did. I had them written down on the screen of my phone so that I could look at them. And you know what? There's like half of them that I'm just not going to hit. And I have to be okay with that, because I have seen the other side, what happens when I don't honor my personal rhythms, and I am not going through that again. Okay. Not unless it is forced upon me. And I'm going to do my best to honor my body and my rhythms this year and just take it easy and relax and enjoy the moment. And so if you are feeling like that too, and you are in the same space as I am, honor that, okay? It's for the betterment of you. It's for the betterment of everyone around you, because when you are in alignment, that gives everyone else permission to be in alignment also, and it kind of like helps them get into their own alignment. That's what this is, this law of oneness, right? When one of us is doing what is good for us, we all kind of think like subconsciously like, oh, okay, well, what is best for me? What is best for me? What is good for everyone? And it's a really beautiful thing. So December, we are focusing on the law of rhythm, and I got all kinds of really interesting insights that have been popping up. So I cannot wait to talk to you all about it. And until then, I'll see you next time.